Can you catch an arrow with Ultra Hand in Tears of the Kingdom? I tried everything. No matter how fast it was, I just couldn't seem to get it to work. Apparently, you can't even use Ultra Hand on it while it's on the ground or in a tree. This myth is busted. Tears of the Kingdom is huge, and with such a big game, there is a lot of misinformation about what is possible in it, or more shockingly, what is possible. So I tested 20 myths from across the internet to see what's true and what's busted. Do you know of any Tears of the Kingdom myths? I want to hear from you. So leave a comment down below for more myths that we should test out in Tears of the Kingdom. Let's get into it. You can ascend from the depths from anywhere. There are certain areas on the map made specifically to use ascend to get from the depths to the surface. But can you do the same thing from anywhere in the depths? Sadly, as much as I tried, it was red all along the whole ceiling. So this one is busted. Can you catch a cannonball? Personally, I love using rewind on rocks that enemies throw at me, especially Octoroks, and sending it right back at them is so fun. But for fast-moving objects like cannons, does the same physics work? Well, we decided to test it out, and it takes a lot of patience to get it right. In fact, I tried for hours to catch this thing. But in the end, my conclusion, Ultra Hand does not work. But Rewind, surprisingly, does. So this one is confirmed. Half confirmed. Just be sure to stand back a bit and give yourself a little reaction time. You can use regular zonai parts in dispensers. I am going to be kicking myself if this one's true, but the rumor is that you can use unwanted zonai parts instead of zonai charges at the dispensers. Are you kidding me? You mean I could have been saving all these zonai charges while I could have just used these useless soldier horns that have been clogging up my inventory? Unfortunately, confirmed. Also, they were gonna give us flack for this one. That's in the instructions. Apparently, some of us don't read. Gloom hands can be confused by muddle buds. Muddle buds are by far my favorite item because it makes monster camps so much easier. Just toss one in and you have an additional ally. But does it work on the Gloom hands? No. Unfortunately, these things are not confused at all by them, and they still want to rip you apart. Busted. Do you go further with more rockets? We all know that rockets blast you into the air, but what about multiple rockets? If you have more than one, will you go further? Let's use these hover platforms to see. 1 on this one and 3 on this one. And as you can see, there is some added height, but there's some real diminishing returns here. So busted, but hey, they're all going to the same place. Portable pots will keep you warm. In cold climates, the best way to get warm is to start a campfire. It might not be the easiest, but is definitely the most realistic. So if I use a zonai portable pot, can I keep warm with its fire? It's hot enough to cook my food, will it be warm enough to keep me warm? Sadly, no. The blue flames of the portable pot do nothing to keep Link warm, proving that once again portable pots are the most worthless zonai device. Busted. More springs will make you go higher. One of the most underappreciated zonai devices has to be the spring. It's just so fun and has a bunch of different uses aside from just throwing you in the air, but more importantly, can you go higher if you stack more than one on top of each other? Okay, so we're gonna try this with 1 spring. Not bad, not bad. Now, we'll add a second one. We definitely go higher this time. Now, what about 3? Okay, so it looks like we have some diminishing returns here, and it looks like the more we add, the less height it adds till it just very quickly stops. At this point, you're just gonna be getting more height from stacking them, so busted. Laser beams do less damage the farther away it is. We've all seen the clips online of people beating monsters using a ton of laser beams. These things do a ton of damage. Okay, well, they do a little bit of damage actually, but the myth is that the lasers will do less damage the further away the target is. This is how much damage it does at point blank. Only a quarter heart worth of damage. Now let's go out here and it turns off. Turns out there's a limit to how far you can go away from your device before it shuts off, and all the way at the end, it still only does a quarter heart worth of damage. So busted. Birds circle around a cave entrance. Caves in Tears of the Kingdom hide all kinds of treasure. New armor, ore veins, bubble frogs, and there's actually an easy way to find these cave entrances by offering apples at cherry blossom trees. But we're not here to talk about that. Apparently, an even easier way is to follow the birds. If you see these birds circling overhead, there should be a cave nearby. Look at that, a cave entrance. And this one is confirmed. Sage spirits will pose for the camera. This is a fun one. Apparently, if you pull your camera out, the sage spirits will pose for you, or with you. Come here, no, come back. Side on, my man. No, okay. They're like running away from the camera. Stop. It's one photo, please. It's like whenever I find my cat in an adorable position, they just don't want me to get to them. Unfortunately, busted. You can mine with cooking pots. I can't tell you how many hammers I've gone through while mining zonite, but this myth states that if you attach a cooking pot to an arrow, it can mine for you. Since arrows do absolutely nothing to ore deposits, and cooking pots have done absolutely nothing in my inventory, it's up to the cooking pot arrow to provide the mining power from afar. Honestly, I was not expecting that one to work, but here we are. Now I know what to do with all my excess cooking pots. Confirmed. Zonai devices will use a small battery before a big battery. If you attach a big battery and a small battery to an Ultra Hand build, the myth is that the game will use the small batteries first. I'm gonna put the big battery on second, then another small battery, just so I know if it's in the order I add them or not. And if you look at that, no matter what order I put them on, it is definitely using up the small batteries first. Confirmed. The seal plushies make enemies go flying. In Riju's room in Gerudo Town, you can find her favorite childhood plushie, a big cute sand seal, just like the one she has in real life. The great thing is that you can fuse this cute little guy to your weapon. Apparently this has the same effect as mushrooms and springs, making enemies go flying when hit. And as you can see, this seal definitely sent enemies flying. Chalk this one up to being confirmed. Rubber suit and slip potions also work on ice. Easily the most annoying feature of Breath of the Wild was slipping on walls whenever it rains. Luckily, Tears of the Kingdom provided a few ways to get through this. You can get the rubber suit or drink a sticky elixir to gain slip resistance, and that you can climb wet surfaces easier. But what about walls of ice that are perpetually slippery no matter what the weather is? Well, I tried both the sticky elixirs and the rubber suit, and neither one helped me climb this ice wall. So that one is busted. You can stop fall damage by staying in bullet time. The big difference between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is how you use a bow. In the air, if you use a bow in Breath of the Wild, you lose stamina the longer you stayed in the air. Now in Tears, you only lose stamina when you fire, so you can stay in bullet time for as long as you want. So if we held it all the way till the end till we hit the ground, would that negate fall damage? Now I fell from Sky Island, and I held it all the way to the ground, and yep, this one's busted. A ruby or sapphire on your shield helps in extreme weather. Sometimes you just want to keep your strongest armor equipped and don't want to switch to the warm Rito jacket or chill Gerudo shirt. And you definitely don't want to use any potions right now because you kind of don't have any potions ready. Or maybe you just like the fashion better. Either way, whatever your reason, you still don't want to freeze or burn up and get sunstroke. Apparently, if you equip gems to your shield, it helps. If I switch to my shield with a sapphire fused to it, look at that, I'm protected from the desert heat. And let's try this with the ruby attached to a shield, and voila, I am protected from the cold blizzard. Confirmed. It doesn't protect you from being on fire around the Goro village and the volcano, so just watch out. You can one-shot skeleton enemies with Dazzle fruit. Stall enemies only come out at night, and this seems like it would make sense. I mean, they are the undead, they naturally have a weakness to sunlight, so why not the Dazzle fruit? These things work like a flash grenade against almost every enemy, and apparently, according to the internet, if I use one on skeleton enemies, it will one-shot them. No follow-up, no need to chase after the head as it rolls off a cliff, one and done. So I tried against these little guys and it worked like a charm. But once I got to the big guys like the stall knocks, all it did was stun them. Still, confirmed. Some items make for better shield surf material. Shield surfing is one of my guilty pleasures in this game. It is just so fun. But you know what's even funner? More funnest. Shield surfing really fast. But we all know you can fuse a sled or mine cart to your shield to go skateboarding. But what about lubing it up? The myth is fusing butter makes you more slippery, and we tried that and it does not work. But what about the other myth that is using frozen meat for the same effect? Now this is shield surfing. Who knew that frozen meat was the way to travel? Confirmed. You can actually dual wield swords. With all the cool swords in the game, you could be forgiven for thinking, what if I equip 2 of these? What if I told you, you could, sort of. You'd probably say, well, get on with it then. And I'd say, I will in just a second. Why are you rushing me? Do you have somewhere else to be other than our channel? Are you even subscribed yet? Are you liking this video right now? And if you said yes, then I'd say, oh, thank you very much. If you attach a bladed monster part to your shield and do a shield bash, you'll actually swipe the blade as if it was a second sword, effectively turning your shield into another melee weapon. I mean, if only I had a second master sword, Ganon would not stand a chance. So this is kind of confirmed, I guess, depending on your definition of dual wielding. You are holding two bladed weapons, though it's not quite the same as two swords. You can attach Octorok balloons to enemies. Back in Breath of the Wild, before we had zonai balloons, fans, and rockets to get us into the sky, we had to use Octorok balloons to get us into the air. And we were grateful. And in fact, these video clips are probably what made Nintendo go in the direction they did with Tears of the Kingdom. So now that we have all these new toys, how do the originals hold up? The myth states that if you shoot an arrow fused with an Octorok balloon onto an enemy, they will simply float away. Well, I never quite got to confirm that. I tried so many times, and the balloons did nothing but pop on me. I don't know if it is maybe that they weren't working with the arrows, or maybe just the enemies were too heavy. However, I was able to get it to work on items. So while it does work in a sense, it doesn't work on enemies. So technically, this myth is busted. If you know of any myths we didn't do, because there is a lot to this game, leave a comment below to be featured if we do another one of these, because I definitely do want to. And before we go, we just want to thank our patrons, including our first patrons, Brandy and Toad King Studios. We honestly couldn't make these videos without you, and if you want your name listed here as well, join our Patreons through the link in the description below.